in Unplanned Orphan, I didn't see the show, but I've read about this show, and I'm sure you're happy to talk about it now. I'm not giving any spoilers away. Well, I am. But so that was a show where at the end, you'd overrun your time and you got your time slot wrong. Is this right? Is that the right show?
Yeah.
So that the next show apparently kind of crashed into yours because you got the time slot wrong.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just that. You'd also printed up leaflets for the non-existent show that was going to crash into your show.
Yeah.
And paid people to hand them out, or have you handed them
out? So the show was called Unplanned Orphan. The premise was I was trying to do like a really heavy show about how when I was 30, when my dad sat me down to tell me I was adopted. And they'd waited till I was 30. And I thought I'll do a big show. I mean, I'm not adopted, so I just made it up. So... You think that's bad? I did a show last year about my 2 kids. I don't have kids. The whole hour on it. So I realised I'm 42. I've run out of things to talk about. Most people have families. I'll just pretend. They don't know. But so I pretended I was adopted for the show. But there was a horrible moment when I was on Radio 5 Live promoting it. And I was on with a guy, really great guy, who was doing a lot of charity work, and he had an inoperable brain tumour.
Right.
So they just didn't know when it would happen, and he was doing all this stuff, and he did such a powerful speech. And then the guy went, so I was doing all the press pretending that I was adopted. And they went, well, you've had your fair share of bad news, Phil. I was like, oh my God, yeah, I'm so brave. Sorry. Sorry. I didn't feel good that day. But the show would just go wrong and wrong. Like there was one bit where I'd open a pop-up tent by mistake, and it'd take me 5 minutes to put it down. And I'm trying to talk about my dead mum. I'm going, well, the thing about you, my dead mum. And then the fire alarm went off, and we'd have to evacuate and do the show outside for a bit until we had clearance to go back in. And then the bear show would start at the end. So it was this video of me meeting my real dad for the first time. It was meant to be the big emotional ending. And it's just me sat outside a cafe. And then after 2 minutes, he's still not there. And I go, right, he was late, but I don't know how to edit footage, so it's just me sat. And then eventually he'd come in, and just as he came in, a guy dressed as a bear would come in the venue and start rapping. And then we'd have an argument, and then my tech would go, no, he starts at 6. And I go, well, why have I never seen him before? And he goes, because we normally underrun by about 20 minutes. And I went, oh, yeah, that's the point. So the bear show would stop. I'd pay someone to fly, dress as a bear, and fly the bear show for an hour a day. So when it happened, people were like, oh, yeah, there is a bear show. That makes sense. And the flyers were good, because my friend designed the flyers, Michael Dolan, a very funny comic, and he designed them, and he put a quote. He had a 3-star review, the bear show. Yeah. It's the only review they had. It's probably actually better than the reviews I got that year. It had 3 stars, and the quote was, almost the best hour of bear-themed hip-hop comedy I've seen this year. That was really good. So then I did that, and then and I enjoyed it. So I thought I'll try and mess about a bit more like this.
I mean, it's great because it's obviously like slightly taking the piss out of the earnest shows that you can get from certain comedians.
Yeah.
If like someone's had testicular cancer or something, decides to do a show about it.
Imagine doing that.
You can take that down. But also like it's got that inventiveness. When you're doing things like that. What if something genuinely goes wrong, or something genuinely unexpected? Like if you're doing a show with a fake fire alarm in it, yeah. I've done at least 3 shows in Edinburgh where I've had to go out in the street because there's been a fire alarm.
Yeah.
Did anything like that? Did the real world ever impinge upon that show, or one of those shows?
A little, yeah. The problem now is that when things do go wrong, everyone just thinks it's part of the show. So I did a show called Head Jog, that was the one when I was pretending to have kids. And it was but these 3 just boozy, 3 alcoholics just came in at the back and just wanted to drink cans out the bag because it was free to get in if you wanted. So they just came in for free because it was cold. And so they were just getting drunk at the back, right? So, and you don't have security in these venues, really. So it's just me going, can you please stop drinking in there? You just hear, and they're just shouting at me and stuff. And I couldn't get them out the venue for about 30 minutes. And eventually... they agreed to leave. They weren't really, they weren't horrible. They wouldn't stop interrupting. They were just shouting all the time, talking to each other. So I thought, it's just ruining this. So I got them to leave, and then as they were walking out, I heard someone go, they'll be back dressed as head jugs. And then last year, at the end of the show, someone fainted.
Right.
So we had to stop the show, and paramedics came in. And everyone's going, oh, here we go. I said, no, there's a man dying. Going, that's it. No, leave him. He's a stooge. And even Brett Vincent, a promoter who knows me, was there watching, going, no, it's not. But, so things like that do happen, and it's the boy that cried wolf, I think, a little bit sometimes.
I mean, do you next have to do a show which is sincere, that everyone will think, oh, he's going to subvert it at the last minute? But, because, if people are expecting it to happen, then, if they're going to go, well, he's not adopted or he doesn't have kids, so you need to come up with something that's really true. Yeah,
well, I thought that, but then I thought, well, with the kids one, I'd done it so there was 3 different twists. So they thought that was the twist. So then they go, and then there's another twist. And I go, and actually, me and them, because even though I'd made up the family, I was a single dad. It's weird, isn't it? I think I just look like one. I give off that energy. So the end twist was, and then we're getting married. And everyone's like, oh. And then I did this thing that called back to the beginning. So they all thought that was the end. And then Rich Wilson, the comedian, just come in and go like, oh, how's the show gone? I was like, oh, it's good. He goes, oh, yes. He goes, tell him the truth. And I go, oh, no. He goes, well, I don't have kids. And then everyone will go, oh, for God's sake. So a bit like this. But the whole point of the show was trying to say that you can put too much onus on things like stand-up, and it's everything. And if you don't get to where you always thought you want to be, you kind of go, well, what? And you get to a point in life where you go, there must be more to life than just wanting to be a really successful comedian. You go, and my kids gave me that purpose, because without them, what is the point? And then I don't have them, so they'll go, oh, God. As you go, he has got nothing. I go, oh, thanks for coming. That's it. It's free to get in, but it's not free to get out. There's a booking at the end. Pay for my kids. Oh, yeah. But maybe I have to do something different.
I bet you could have some kids. You could actually have some kids, just so that you feel. So you feel.
There's still time.
There is still. I didn't have kids till I was older than you.
How?
I was like 4. When I was 9. I was 46 or 47 when I from my first.
Yeah, but you're youthful. That's the difference. I'm like I'm just knackered. Look at me. That's. But yeah. Hey, but no, you're right. We'll talk.
Yeah,
we'll talk. We'll talk.
I can fix you up.
Yeah,
I've got
it seedy now.
I can give you some of my sperm from the one ball. It's there's not much, but
I've got a flask.
Yeah, okay.
Pour the Nescafe out. Give it a rinse.